The Knicks are heating up.
All right, we have a special edition of New York Got Game this week because I had the opportunity to have one of the greatest players in the history of the New York Knicks join me in studio. He's a player who had incredible tenacity, a desire to win that made him a fan favorite. This man was named All-NBA Defensive Second Team in 1993, an NBA All-Star in 1994, NBA Sixth Man of the Year in 1997. He is the Knickerbockers' all-time leader in three-point field goals, and he provided one of the greatest moments in Knicks playoff history. He's the heart and soul of the 90s Knicks, the one and only John Starks. John, what's going on, man?
Everything's good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Good. Always good to see you. It's always a pleasure to see you, get to talk some Knicks with you. And how you been doing so far? Been enjoying the Knicks season? Has been going
good? It's been good. You know, it's a slow start, but other than that, it's been good. You know, guys are starting to try to, figure it out there on the court. So looking forward to the rest of the season.
Now, I'm looking forward to it. Always great to talk with John. We've talked at a couple of games. The last time I talked to you was a couple days before Randall got traded. That was the last time I talked to you up in the Bronx, and we were chatting there. But I want to start this by looking back at your career, right? Because how did your journey to the NBA, which a lot of people know being an undrafted player, how did that shape your mindset as the player that we saw once you got into a Knicks uniform?
Well, when you got to eat, I was just hungry, you know what I mean? I got an opportunity to try out for the San Antonio Spurs, and the great Larry Brown gave me that opportunity when I was in college. And I knew this like my one shot. I knew that I wasn't going to be drafted. And so I knew I was coming in as an undrafted free agent. And so I just took full advantage of the opportunity. And, when I got there, Vernon Maxwell, who they drafted, was beside me, and we became close friends. And, I just wanted to go in there and prove myself and show guys that I belong at this level. And I had a great rookie free agent camp. And I got looked at by a lot of teams, and Golden State came calling. And I was in between, Golden State, staying with San Antonio. But Golden State said that they would guarantee me X amount of money, and San Antonio said, well, we can't guarantee you that type of money, but we can guarantee you this. And I was married at the time and had my son, and I'm like, okay, that's a lot of money. Even though $50,000, I got to take that bag. Even $50,000 compared to today's money was a lot of money back then, me coming out of college and had to support my family. So that's how I ended up in Golden State.
That's how you ended up in Golden State. The thing whenever I hear that, and I've known your story for so long, is that hunger, right? And when you got to the Knicks, you still played with that hunger. In fact, you don't even notice. It had this impact on me. My dad, we used to watch the games together, and he was always like, you got to stay hungry like Starks. You got to stay hungry like Starks. Because you always had that hunger. So was that something that just stayed with you because that's really how you just got into the league?
That was kind of put inside of me when I was young. I come from an athletic family, and, playing against my older brothers and playing against guys on the street who was a lot bigger than me. And my brother used to say, you can play with us, but you can't cry. And so it was just going back out there and competing very hard. And it was just inside of me to play that way. You know what I mean? My older brother used to tell me, you have to get through me first before you can do anything. And he always had this mental edge on me, because he was my older brother. And so finally I broke through against him, and I was like, oh, I can beat anybody. That was just my mentality. And so, but when I got to that next level, I watched him. He was a football player, and he played like Jack Tatum. I don't know if you remember Jack Tatum. He was that type of dude, a hitter. And I always wanted to be like him. And so my mentality was to go out there and play aggressive. And so I did that. Whatever I played, whether it was football, baseball, basketball, I played with that Jack Tatum mentality.
Yeah, you can see that for the fans that know this man played with that Jack Tatum mentality for sure. Didn't break anybody's legs or anything, but he definitely had that mentality. You had many memorable moments as a Knick, John. Is there one that stands out to you as a personal favorite, and if so, is why? Because there's so many. There's one for me, but I'm curious for you. What's your personal favorite Knick moment?
Well, it's probably when I hit the buzzer beater to beat Phoenix at the Garden. You know what I mean? Because that's the only time that I did it. And so there's no greater feeling when you got the last second shot and the ball is in your hand, and you step up and you knock down the shot, and just jubilation breaks out, from your teammates. And so I would say that's my personal feeling, but I think from a team concept, it probably was when we beat Indiana in Game 7 at the Garden.
In 94.
Yeah, 94. Yeah. That was, the fans got the chance to celebrate. My teammates was going crazy. We knew we was going to the finals. And we had a 3-year process to get to this point, and all of a sudden we crossed that threshold together.
Yeah, one thing I always remember from that game, I think it's iconic for everybody, is Patrick Ewing, high-fiving the fans on the sideline and his hands up in the air.
As happy as I seen him.
You never saw him that happy. You never seen him that happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked so happy. Now, all of you guys looked happy in that moment, and New York was very happy there, too. All right, so here's a moment for me that's my favorite, okay? Game 2, you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
93 Eastern Conference Finals. You delivered this memorable moment.
Yeah.
Dunk, the dunk. Everybody knows this as the dunk. First question I have for you, because some people just brought this up to me downstairs. Do you look at this and say you dunked on Jordan? Fans like to say that you dunked on Jordan. Some people say no, because Horace Grant was right there. Did you dunk on Jordan? One, and I'll just say you did.
Yeah.
What was the energy like around the city after that game and that play? And did you realize how iconic that play would become?
Yeah, so I always put it like this, is that I dunked on Horace Grant. Michael got in the picture and made it look good.
Hey,
so,
hey, there you go.
But he got some of it too, because he went for the block. You know,
he did.
He tried to go
right?
block it, so he got a piece of it. I didn't even know that it was just another play to me. You know what I mean? Because I didn't dunk on a lot of guys, during my career, and so that play just had to happen at that moment because we were just up by, I think, 2 or 3 points, and it was like 50-some seconds left on the clock, and when it happened, and I knew that, it was a moment for the team itself, but I didn't realize how special it was until I came back and started working for the Knicks, after
Really?
I retired. Yeah.
Huh.
It was just another play to me. But the city was crazy. I mean, it was just because everybody could sense it. You've been battling in this team for so many years. Then finally we go up on them 2-0, and we have 2 more games to win, and all we had to do is win 2 games. Obviously, we didn't. But it was just one of those moments where the city was just buzzing. It kind of felt like the COVID year when we beat Atlanta the first game and everybody was out in the street partying. Yeah, it felt just like that. But like I said, it didn't dawn on me how special that play was until I started working for the Knicks again back in 2004. And I can honestly say from that day, everybody asked me about that play since day one.
That's the one
every
you get
single
asked
day,
about all the time.
Every single
Right.
day for that day. So, but it's definitely, a special play. I tell everybody if it happened in the United Center, it's just another play. You know what I mean?
The fact that it happened in the Garden
Right.
is what made it so much more special.
And who it was against.
And who was against.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you this. I will share this with the people as you being here. I grew up, big Knicks fan, had your jersey, huge fan. You were my guy. You were the player. And I went to school the next day. I told everybody, yo, you see Starks dunked on Jordan? I told everybody. They didn't really dunk on Jordan, but, we keep it there for the story. I want to talk about this because you talked about the energy of the city. And you and I, we spoke last year during the playoffs with the run for the Knicks.
Yeah.
Playing at Madison Square Garden, as you just said, it has its own unique energy, right, John? How did the crowd impact your game? Because I'm sure it did in that moment for the dunk, right? And what is the most intense MSG moment that you remember? Was it the dunk, or is there something else where you feel like this
Definitely
is the most?
Dunk.
That was the most intense moment?
Yeah, that was the most intense moment. Now, New York fans are just so intelligent as fans. They know when to lift you up, you know what I mean? And when the team is going bad, they all rally behind, because when they sense that we got an opportunity, it's nothing like it here in the Garden. And other teams would tell you the same thing. Other players would tell you the same thing, is that this building holds such sacred energy inside of it. And that's why every player, when they come here, they want to do their best every single time they step on that floor. I tell them, we never had a night off when I played for the Knicks. No matter who we was playing against, that team could be the worst team in the league. They're going to come in here and give you 110% because it's the Garden. If it was their arena, it's like, okay, here come the big bad Knicks. We're going to check this one up. And so, but here, there's nothing more special than playing in the Garden night in and night out.
Nah, there really isn't. And last year during the playoffs, it was rocking.
Yeah.
You were having fun.
Yeah.
All the Knicks legends who were in the building were having fun. It was great. I got joy watching you guys.
Yeah.
Like just being there in the media covering it, like seeing how much you guys were enjoying it.
Yeah.
It was really fun. Like it was just like watching players that you watch become fans now.
Yeah.
It was kind of dope.
I tell you what, I always appreciated the fan, but I have even more appreciation for them because that wore me out.
You told me, you said this a couple times. I think you told the Post that you were tired.
I was tired.
Yeah.
I was tired. I didn't realize the energy that as a fan that you have to exert just to cheer and, and stay, on top of it. And I was wore out, man. So I can imagine doing our run back in the 90s, how exhausted fans was, because we had, and just when the Rangers was doing, like last year when the Rangers was doing well, they told me that they stayed up, they couldn't get no sleep for about 2 months because either we was on or the Rangers was on. And the energy that you exert as a fan cheering, it wears you out, man. So you have to be in good shape to be a fan.
There you go. See, you got to put respect on the fans. Got to be in good shape, especially going to come out and cheer for the Knicks. Now, you and I were talking about this before we recorded. So the teams in the 90s that you played on, they had a reputation for toughness.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the evolution of the NBA game today, especially where there's more spacing and shooting in the game than you maybe saw in the 90s? How do you feel about the way the game has evolved?
Well, it's great from an entertainment standpoint. You know what I mean? You have more scoring. You see the artistic value in the game today more so than we did back in the 90s because you didn't have a lot of one-on-one play like you do now. Guys come down and it's basically one-on-one or pick and roll or something of that nature. And everybody is spread out. So you have opportunities to drive the ball and kick the ball. We didn't have that. The game back then was played from the inside out. So everybody had a low post player that you threw the ball into and you play off of that. And we had one of the greatest in Patrick Ewing. So that's where the game has totally changed. Guys said they're running more, which they probably are on defense because you have to stop the ball, then you have to get out to the shooter. And, so the game has evolved into more of an artistic game that you see now. You see all the exciting one-on-one plays, and we didn't have that back then. I couldn't imagine just sitting out there trying to line somebody up and go one-on-one. No, they running somebody at you to get the ball at your hand. So it was totally different back then.
Yeah, a lot more spacing in today's game.
Yes.
Very different. But I thought about this with you because you're the Knicks all-time leader in three-pointers made with 982.
Yeah.
If you were playing in today's NBA, see, you already know where I'm going.
Yeah.
How do you think your game would translate, especially with the current focus on three-point shooting? Because I was looking back at some stats for you, and I was like, okay, some games it was a lot if you shot 6 threes.
Yes.
Like if John Stark shot 6 threes in a game, that was a lot of threes.
Yes.
There's a lot of guys who get up 6 attempts now. Do you wish you had that freedom to shoot
I
some
wish, but it wasn't happening. You know what I mean? No, I would have loved to play in this era, to be honest with you. Because you do have that freedom. I see guys come down, be 1-on-5, and they pulling up for a 3, and the coach don't bat an eye. I tell people if I did that, Coach Riley couldn't get somebody in the game quick enough to get me out the game. So that's where the mindset has changed from a coaching standpoint. I still think 2 points wins the game for you. The threes back then was more of so a knockout punch. Now it's part of the game, part of the flow of the offense. And so that's where it changed at.
Yeah, it's definitely changed. I would have liked to see you shoot about 9, 10 threes a game.
I wish so.
That would have been a lot more interesting.
My stats would have went up.
Stats would have went up. It wouldn't be 982. It might be a lot higher.
Yeah, no question, no question.
So, John, I got to ask you this about the current Knicks team because they're off to just an average start. They're 5-5 at the time of us taping this before they play on Wednesday night against Chicago Bulls. What's your early impressions of this team?
Yeah.
What do you think that their potential is?
Oh, they have the potential to go all the way. It's just about them figuring each other out right now. We took out 2 main pieces that we had last year in Julius and DiVincenzo, and then we added, obviously, Towns and Bridges. So these guys got to get acclimated to one another. It's hard to kind of get that chemistry when you the wins that they have got, majority of them are blowout wins. But what you want to see when things are tight, then they have to get familiar with what you like to do down the stretch of the ball game, where you like the balls, where Towns like the ball. Obviously, we know Jalen can do pretty much anything, where Bridges like the ball, and so it's just about them getting acclimated with each other's game. And it takes some time. I was looking at, and I get frustrated because, I want to see it happen right away, like most fans. They
most
come up
fans
and tell me, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. We want to see it happen right away, but I understand as a player, I have to take a step back and understand that we made some major changes. And so it's going to take time for these guys to, figure it out. And they figuring it out. Jalen got to figure it out. Towns got to figure it out. Bridges got to figure it out. And so these guys, they are true professionals, and they will figure it out. So I have no doubt that this is gonna, they're gonna get going here soon. So, but yeah, it's tough right now. But we have all the necessary pieces to get to that next level, and I feel we're gonna do that.
I happen to agree. Fans keep coming up to me and saying, "Are you concerned? Are you worried?" I think the defense will get better.
Yeah.
I think the offense will get better too,
Yeah.
John. I think those things will happen, but. Patience in New York.
I know. It's totally different.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
Not always like that. Now,
Yeah.
right before training camp, last time I saw you, a couple days before Julius got traded, you and we spoke about the high expectations for this team before they traded for Cat.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what does this Knicks team need to do to go from good, where they are now, to great? What would make them serious contenders this season in your eyes?
Well, obviously the bench. It's going to be a big part of that. And, right now I think Coach is trying to figure it out as far as with his bench players. Tibbs is a veteran-laden coach. He likes veteran players. And so these guys that when they do get their opportunity, they have to show them that, hey, I belong out here on the court. And so and they have to be productive minutes. And more you show Coach Tibbs that you can go out there and perform at a high level, more and more he's going to trust you. And so I think the bench going to have to obviously come around and be up to par with pretty much every other bench. Golden State is playing
11, 12 guys
11,
right
12 guys,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you have to have that, and if you're going to be considered, up there with the upper echelon teams. And I know that we have the players there to do it. It's just about them getting confidence and going out there and playing at a high level. But I'm excited, man. I really am. I think, you look around the league, is the teams that made the changes are the teams that just kind of sitting at 500. The teams that stayed put are the teams that, playing very well, good basketball. So it's going to take some time, but I have all the confidence in that we're going to get it done.
See, and that's why I feel like you can't really panic, right, John? Because you hit the nail on the head. Cleveland, they're off to a great start.
Yeah.
That team has been together for 3 years,
exactly.
right? This Knicks team, the culture has been there, but they've changed some pieces. And so it's going to take a little time for them to do this. I want to ask you about the captain, Jalen Brunson.
Yes.
He's emerged as an absolute leader for this team. I think you know what he's about.
Yes.
What stands out to you about his leadership right now and the style of his leadership? And how does it compare to players from when you played, his style of leadership, to maybe somebody like Pat or Oak? How does it compare to those guys?
Well, he's even keel. He's an even keel dude. You watch him out on the court, and he has this stoic look on his face. You know what I mean? Every now and then he gets, amped up, but he's just always about steadiness. He was that way when he was at Villanova. You just watch him. He's just a poised young man. He's not even young no more. He's getting old, Jalen. Nah. But no, he's just steady. You know what I mean? That's what you want to see in your point guard. You watch these guys, and I watch everything out there on the court. I watch how they interact with him, and all of them come up to him, and he just has that constant, point guard mentality. You know what I mean? Explaining things to him. Mark Jackson was the same way. I think Jalen and Mark is about the same as far as with their temperament, and so he's just a complete leader. Then he go out there and produce. That's the number one thing. You know what I mean? You can be a leader, but if you're not producing, then trying to tell guys what you're doing. You know what I mean? But he produced at a high level, and so I don't even worry about him. Yeah, he's the least of our worries.
Yeah, his leadership, his play on the court, you don't have to worry about that at all.
Yes.
When you watch this Knicks team and then playing on the court, is there a player on this team that reminds you of yourself when you're watching them, and why is that, and what do you enjoy about seeing them play on the court?
Well, obviously Hart.
The guy wearing number 3 reminds you of the number 3.
His motor, you know what I mean? His motor is constantly going. It's just he's never out of the play. Whether it's on the defensive end of the court or whether it's on the offensive end of the court, he seems to come up with the basketball. And those guys are hard to find in this league. And thank God that we have him, you know what I mean? Because he's special in that way. It's the old adage, he got a nose for the basketball.
Yeah.
And he got a nose for the ball, you know what I mean? And he's special in that way. He's just a warrior, you know, and you can't say enough about his intensity and the passion that he brings to the game. And he makes plays out there on the court, and that's what we love about him.
Yeah, it's fitting that he wears your number. You guys play the same way, hard-nosed all the time. Joined here with John Starks, Knicks legend. John, a couple more questions for you here. Your foundation, the John Starks Foundation, has made an impact on many communities, specifically young people.
Yes.
What inspired you to start the foundation, and what accomplishments in terms of the foundation are you most proud of?
Well, my agent came to me back in '94, and he asked me, he said, John, this was Lee Steinberg, and he said, what you want to do in order to give back to the community? And I had to think about my plight and how I got in college and the struggles that I had to endure my first couple of years in college, but mainly because I wasn't given a scholarship or anything like that. And so I had to go the traditional route that most students have to go. You know, you have to apply for grants and things of that, find money. And I told him, I said, you know what, if I could start a foundation to raise money to give graduating seniors an opportunity to go to college, that's what I want to do. And we started it back in 1994, and it's been so rewarding just to see all these kids go off to school and give them that chance that most of us got an opportunity from someone. And so for me, I've been blessed to be put in that situation where I can use my platform to raise money and to give these deserving young people an opportunity to go to college and live out their dreams, you know what I mean, like all of us did. So it's been very rewarding. We then had so many students that go on and be successful and come back and work for the foundation. That's why I love that they come back and participate, and we call it paying it forward.
Right.
And so I enjoy that. Then we have a young lady to sit on our board now that was a graduate from college, and so it's all about, you know, how much you want to take what you do and how much you want to give back to the next generation. And so I do my best to do what I do, but I also understand that there's a lot of kids out there struggling and trying to find their way. And so I just want to be a vehicle for them and give them that opportunity that I received back when I came out of high school.
That's beautiful, and it's got to feel really good to not just know that you help people, but then they're coming back and helping you help other people, right? That's really paying it forward, and so that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about this Knicks Fan First program. From what I've learned about it, it creates unique experiences for fans, which is good. You just talked about how exhausting it is to be a fan of these games. Why do you feel that it's important to connect with fans this way and tell people a little bit about the program? Yeah,
no, I think it's very important. I think fans is why we go out there and play at a high level. You know what I mean? We have to have fans in there. I know during the COVID year, you know, having no fans in there, it was like strange. It was the most strangest thing. But Fan First is a program that we want to give fans opportunity to go and buy Knicks tickets at face value instead of looking at the secondary market. But they have to come and sign up for the program. So you can go to Knicks.com/Fans First and find out a little bit more about Fans First. And then we have special programs on there for them. But the main thing is that we want to give them a break, you know, because fans pay such incredible prices for tickets, and we don't want to be that organization where we just, you know, hitting them over the head all the time. So we want to give them an opportunity to be able to come to a Knicks game and pay face value for the tickets themselves.
That's really good because
Yeah.
sometimes, look, getting to these sports events can be a lot.
Yes.
It can be expensive.
Yeah.
It's a nice way we're kind of paying it forward again.
Yeah, we're paying it forward.
Get people into the building. And listen, if you haven't been in the building, if you haven't seen the Knicks game, John says it's exhausting. I see how it could be that. But it's fun, right? Like you got to experience it.
Well, at the Garden, it used to be a time where you probably will, before you come to the Garden, you would go out and eat and what have you. Now we have everything.
Oh, everything is in there.
Yeah, the food is just like out of this world. You know what I mean? So it's a complete experience now that you can come to the game and you don't have to think about like, where we going to eat at? Well, come to the Garden. They got some incredible selections of restaurants in there and we got everything on the 6th floor, 7th floor, 8th floor. So it's a fun experience now. When I give, friends of mine's tickets and they come to the game, they come back, they tell me, man, that was the most incredible thing. Just the experience itself, just being at the Garden.
Yeah, gotta get to the Garden.
Yes.
Definitely gotta go for a playoff game. And it's a whole different energy. John, so we know this with you. You experienced an incredible, passionate fan base.
Yeah.
You had some iconic moments with the Knicks. What does it mean when you look back at it all to be part of Knicks history and New York sports culture? Because you are that. You are part of that, and we got to give you your flowers. But what does it mean to you knowing that you're part of it and all the love you get from the fans?
Man, I just appreciate it. I really do. This is truly the organization that gave me my opportunity to get showcased, so to speak. And if I was doing it anywhere else, I'd probably just be another player because it was here at the Garden and this iconic franchise, the New York Knicks, and I was doing it on the biggest stage in our game, night in and night out, and had some incredible moments. It was just special in that way. I can't say, I just, when I walk down the street, I really feel it as much. I feel it a lot when I go down the streets and fans just like, John, you my favorite player, the Knicks in the 90s, blah, blah, blah. I love the Knicks, blah, blah, blah. You feel it, you know what I mean? And you know how special this team is to this city. And basketball is king here, you know what I mean? I know we have other sports and other sports are great, but basketball is king here. And I feel that every single day, I interact with the fans. And so I'm just blessed to have this opportunity. I always sit back and when I'm sitting down and maybe having a cigar or something, my favorite beverage, and I just think back on, where would I be if I was playing for another organization? Would I be this player that they would appreciate and love? I'm not sure. You know what I mean? But I know here in New York, fans live for sports, and that's what makes New York so special. And every player understands that about this city. You know what I mean? In this league, understands that this the greatest sports city ever.
Yeah, and I think for me, as a native New Yorker, sports fan, grew up rooting for the Knicks, I think the way you played resonated so much with the city. I think I speak for a lot of people when they say that. It resonated, and I think that's why you're still so beloved here. And for me, look, for me now as a journalist doing this interview, this is crazy. If you would have told 10-year-old me, you will interview John Starks one day, your favorite, I'd have been like, this is crazy. Both my parents who are now gone, I know they're smiling down on this interview, they would think it's crazy. So I got to pinch myself for that. I have to thank you. Always a pleasure when I see you.
Yes,
it's
sir.
crazy I get to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you coming here in New York Got Game. You're doing great work with the Knicks. You did dunk on Jordan, which is, we're going to still say that. You did dunk on Jordan. And you're going to continue to do great work. One last thing I'll ask you. I know you think the Knicks can go really far. Are you willing to say that they will win the championship this year?
Oh, no, most questions.
Oh, I like it. You said it in your chest. You said it real quick.
I said that at the beginning of the season. I really feel good about this team. It's just about them coming together. You know what I mean? And it's going to take a little time, but I think every team is going to have to hit that stretch where they just going to take off. And this team is that close from doing that. And so I'm excited.
I'm excited, too. That, everybody, is the great John Starks, Knicks legend, number 3. You see him doing great work with the Knicks. You might see him at a game bringing a lot of energy. You won't be too exhausted. This year you're in shape. You're in fan shape. So it's all good. John, I appreciate you joining me here in New York Got Game. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
And thanks for watching New York Got Game. Boom shakalaka.